So welcome to the show, everyone, and you know what? I made it possible for everybody to talk about themselves on the radio. So if you want to get yourself heard, just give us a call here at the station. We'll get you hooked up with me, and we'll get you on Networking Arizona. The number here is 602-277-5369. I'm going right in with my first guest, who's been on with me many, many times. We've got a lot that's going on in the world that pertains a lot to what he wants to talk about, too, today. I have David Fisher. He is the CEO of Landmark Capital Gold Group. Welcome back to the show.
Well, thank you so much once again, as always, having me on your program, Carol. It's my pleasure and honor.
Thank you. Now, you know, I want to tell them a little bit about yourself. Tell them about yourself and what we're going to talk about today.
Okay, we'll get all that out of the way about me and then get on to the important things. Been doing this for 21 years. Actually, next month it's going to be 22, so it'll be the anniversary of that. Our company is accredited with the BBB. We have an A+ rating. We have affiliates in our industry that are the watchdog and also the credentials for our industry that have all the affiliations with. I'm a member of PCGS, a member of NGC, I'm a member of American Numismatic Association, and the biggest one is the most important, ICTA, Industry Council Tangible Asset. They do two things. They watch our industry to make sure all the bad companies are brought to light, and you have to go through all these hoops to be a part of that, and we are members of them. The other thing they do is they watch the government, which is the big important part, on what it does in reference to people's money. So, and they notify us, and they've done that quite a bit. So we're members of ICTA, and I've been on a lot of radio, KFNN, 1510. In fact, I might be doing some of that coming up. KFYI,
great.
Local national radio, Jim Sharp's program, your program, and enough about me.
No, great. You know what? I like talking about that stuff because it's important for them to know all about you. Now, what's been going on? Today's topic, you said, of course, we've been talking a lot about the bail-in. Let's go ahead and just jump right into it.
Okay, we'll talk about the bail-in, but I got to make sure we talk about what happened this week specifically, too. But the bail-in is simple as this, and they can contact us and they can get literature on this. But the bail-in, we bailed out General Motors. We bailed out Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and we bailed out AIG. They didn't have the money to survive, so we came to the rescue, we the government. We printed money to do this, and we went into debt as a country. We gave them money, they were going to pay us back, and they did so, and they got up on their feet, and they survived. A bail-in is nobody comes to the rescue. The government's $18 trillion in debt and growing. We're moving down the same road as Greece, and we'll talk about that in a second. Who's going to bail us out? Who's going to come to the America's rescue? Is it the Fed? Well, the Fed was leveraged. In other words, for every dollar asset they had in 2008, before all this downturn, they had $22 of liability. Currently, the Fed printed a lot of money called quantitative easing, $4.5 trillion. That's a lot of money. Now they're leveraged at 77-1. They cannot bail out the system anymore. The FDIC, I was just asked the question right before we came on by one of your people that have heard me a couple times. Well, doesn't the FDIC have the money? The answer is no. That's why the FDIC in 2008 went to Congress and said, we don't have the money. We only got $50 billion. One bank right now, JP Morgan Chase, is leveraged at $70 trillion by their own admittance. So there's not enough money by the government, the Fed, or the FDIC to fix or bail out the problem. That's why this bail-in comes, and ironically it's happened 12 times in the last 5 years, and every single country has a national health care system. You and I never would have thought 10 years ago or 5 years ago, 7 years ago, that we would have had a national health care system. We do. The bail-in is just the financial side of things. Laws have been set up, and you know, I got literature, I wrote it in detail. It's all documented, Associated Press, Reuters, national and international news from all major websites, CNBC, Market Watch, Fox News, etc. They're all talked about it. People are just not connecting the dots, and this article does.
Well, the article is your white page that you wrote, and we want everybody to get their hands on this. listen up. This is information, and it's information that you should know about and read about it. And you can also talk to him about it. You do free consultations.
Absolutely, we do that, and that is a big part of our who we are at Landmark Capital. I believe in education. People have lots of questions. There's lots of misunderstanding, and everything we share, we can document and set the facts straight. And I have a group of people. Some of them even have more experience in this industry and been doing it longer than I have, and I've worked with most of the team for greater than 7 years.
Well, you can call in here and get his white pages. Our number here is 602-277-5369. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. It's the coming Bailin, how to avoid it from affecting you. Our number here is 602-277-5369. And if you want to chime in and you want to talk about this, you can do that too. And you can also call him direct, and his number is 602-287-9200, and it's landmarkgold.com, and toll free at 877-448-2646. You wanted to talk about something that happened this week. I want to make sure we get to that, because sometimes I jump knowing I'm so excited about hearing about this.
That's okay. I want to put the disclaimer out there. I am not a conspiratorialist. I love our country. I hate what happened to our country on September 11th. So I want to make that really clear. I'm not saying this is going to happen again, but something happened last week that nobody's talking about. Fox News talked a little bit about it, but nobody's really connecting the dots. And here's what happened. On Wednesday, simultaneously, the largest trading index, stock index of the world, was shut down for 3.5 hours.
I saw that.
Called the New York Stock Exchange.
Mm-hmm.
You can buy a stock, you can sell a stock. There were 700,000 trades that was canceled by the New York Stock Exchange because they thought it was a cyber attack.
That's what I thought.
Okay. Why didn't they bring in the FBI or the CIA to have their systems dissected then? They were not allowed to come in, or for some reason never part of that. Going on, simultaneously while that was happening, the largest financial news system called the Wall Street Journal, their website was shut down. You couldn't access news on the Wall Street Journal. Now I'm going to sound really conspiratorial. Simultaneously, the largest airlines in America, called United, could not fly planes. Their systems were shut down.
This happened Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Google
I feel
it.
like I'm like stupid right now.
No, seriously.
I didn't know.
Nobody's connecting the dots. They're not saying, oh, why is this thing happening at the same time? But they all happen the same day at the same time. Google it, you'll see what I'm talking about. The day before, the International Monetary Fund wrote a 31 things that the United States needs to take care of. And one of them was your markets could freeze. And it happened the very next day. On the same day that report came out, it came out in the morning, in the evening, there's a company called Anonymous that, I don't have a Twitter account. I don't know how you tweet, so bear with me on that one. But people tweet and people go on and they say things, and I've heard of it and I've read it, but I have right here in my hand, there's a company that's a cyber attack company called Anonymous. I didn't know this until this came out in the news on Fox. Here's what they tweeted Tuesday night before the Wednesday this all happened at 8:45. Quote, "Wonder if tomorrow is going to be bad for Wall Street, ... We can only hope."
Wow, that's amazing. And then the next day, all of that happened.
It all happened the next day. So I'm not a conspiratorialist. I don't want another 9/11 or anything like that. But something happened that is, I don't know if it's a coincidence or I'm just like, maybe I'm crazy putting these things together. I don't think it's craziness. It just all happened on the same day with these 4 warnings by these 2 entities, Anonymous and the IMF.
We want you to get this information. Our number here is 602-277-5369. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. Our lines are open here. You can chime in and you can even talk if you want. He will answer questions. He does free consultations for you in his office. We're going to go to a break. When we come back, we want to talk further about some of these things. Greece. Oh my gosh, knew you wanted to talk about Greece. Now, his phone number direct, it is area code 602 602-287-9200. It's landmarkgold.com, and call here and get yourself this coming bail-in information at 602-277-5369. Welcome back. We are talking with David Fisher. He is the CEO of Landmark Capital, and we've been talking. This is interesting. It's scary.
Yes.
It's scary when you start connecting these little dots for people and you start talking. I always get, my eyes are like saucers every time you come on. Go ahead.
So Greece, it's almost 11:15 there right now. They're supposed to have a final verdict at 10 o'clock, an hour and 15 minutes ago. They prolonged it now to midnight. This is the big thing. Either Greece is going to prolong this talks that they've already gone 10 days past the deadline, and they're either going to continue to go past other deadlines and not make any payments and have turmoil, or they're going to get kicked or leave the Eurozone, which will be a whole nother problem for the whole world, or stay in the Eurozone, and we don't know what that would be like either because they don't have any money. And if you're a Greece citizen, my wife and I, we went to Greece 2 years ago, and Italy, and I've talked to the Greece people. They asked, and they knew we were Americans. I asked them specifically what they thought about the euro 2 years ago, before all of this problem was really happening at this level, that is. And same with the Italians, who ironically did a bail-in also, okay? Again, 12 countries. Italy was one of them. They all said similar things. They all said the government of our government, Italian government, Greece government, they portray that we all like the euro, but we really don't. It affected us all negatively through massive unemployment, through a massive devaluation of the currency, going from the drachma or the Italian lira into the eurozone. They also said that we don't understand you Americans and how you can just keep printing money and going to death. Do you guys think that this will never catch up with you? And I said, most Americans just don't understand. They think the government will take care of them. The government, you should tell them, and I told them what I did, you should tell them that the government won't take care of you. We're a proof of that. And look at what's going on in Greece. Again, it's proof. If you and I were in Greece, we would be able to withdraw $60 a day. The banks have been shut down for 9 days now.
$60 a day?
Yes, $60. Okay, that's not enough to live off of. It's on his 10th day, actually. If they have a Greece pension that they already bailed in 50%, and in the pension they have a debit card, Greece people, it's $18 and some odd cents, less than $20 that you can draw from your pension per day. There's no money in the Greece banks right now. The euros, they've already depleted them. So they have a major problem going on, and I'm going to make the assumption, eventually banks will open, and when they open, there will be a run on the banks. But they've been down for 10 days. They might be down 15. They might be down they might be open up on Monday. I don't know. But there will be a problem when they open up. So this thing's not going away real soon. And we are unfortunately, and this is what the IMF has warned, we're going down the same road, the United States, as Greece. We just haven't got there yet. In fact, there's a lot of people saying the same thing over and over. People who are very well-to-do, billionaires, are saying, we're going down the same road. In fact, Alan Greenspan, I watched him on the news this morning. He talked about this. And so did Bill Gross, the largest bond trader in the world. He talked about this too. And what they said were very similar. Greenspan said, when you look at the interest rates of history, it's always been a single digit on the upper end of that single digit. So in other words, 8 to 9% interest rates have been the norm. We're at zero interest rate environment right now. We're at actually 0.25. The normal rate for the Fed has 8% when you average it over 50 years. We are at artificially low interest rates, and Greenspan said in that environment, it will cause financial havoc and massive uncertainty because he says, from the beginning of Rome to ancient Greece to even in the 1600s in the Bank of England, we have documents that this was the normal of what banks lent that out as 8 to 9%, and maybe as low as 5%. We're lending out money, and he says, and in this environment, unfortunately, here's what happens. Individual debt, and people are enticed to borrow money. Individual debt goes up, corporate debt goes up, and most importantly, the biggest problem, government debt goes up. And this is why the debt of the United States has gone from 12 trillion that was unmanageable then to 18 trillion now. And ironically, our Secretary of Treasury just seized the debt ceiling 12 weeks ago and froze it. We have to address that too in the future, which is, we're going to have some major economic problems come October, maybe as early as August. So what Greece is facing is some massive uncertainties. And what America is doing is we're going down the same road. We just haven't got there yet. But when they start changing the interest rates, and Greenspan talked about this, it will create a massive amount of uncertainty. The IMF came out with, I talked about earlier just before the break, this 31 things. One of them was interest rates. Another one was bank leveraged money. And this is what the IMF is warning in America. It never got fixed. They're doing the same thing. It's just a lot worse. And we were on the program here, I think, last week talking about leverage money. And we probably should have another program about that sometime, because a lot of people just don't understand what that is. But that's how 85% of the banks and Wall Street makes their money off leveraging their assets, called mortgage-backed securities and credit default swaps.
Well, we want people to get this information because that's what you're all about. That's all you are about, is about educating. It's information for you. He will do free consultations with everyone. You can get this the coming bail-in, how to avoid it from affecting you. Our number here is 602-277-5369. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. I think that everybody should take a look at it and read it, and you can make up your own minds, maybe even have a consultation with you and find out, okay, so we're talking about this now. Yes. What do we do?
Yeah.
What do we do, David?
The what do we do is this, is your retirement and your bank assets are at risk. The government legally now can take them, as by their own saying of August 13th of last year. It's all set up now. So if they flip the switch and you don't do anything about this, we will be like Greece, where they took 50% of your money. And if it gets where the government still can't fix itself, we'll be in a situation like Greece. I know it sounds crazy. I'm not saying this is going to happen next week, we're going to be like Greece. What I'm saying is that they can take our money at any point in time, and this is the road that our country has gone down. Landmark and myself has figured out a way where you can protect yourself and actually make it probably a better investment than what the stock market is doing, because they're now saying, Bill Gross said this morning, forget this double-digit return in stocks. That's now a thing of the past. Expect 3 to 4% in the coming years per year. That's what will be the new norm. Well, that means not too much growth in the stock market, and Greenspan commented on that, because good money is not going into good companies and staying within our company. Ford just announced that they're moving their biggest factory from Michigan to Mexico, and they just were part of this energy package where $6 billion were given out to the automotive industry, and they're moving the jobs abroad. So what's happening is America can't sustain through a manufacturing base, and that's what's went on with Greece. That's what's triggering this. So if you have a IRA or 401k, a retirement, we figured out a way where you can roll that over into precious metals and take physical possession of it. You hold it, not a third-party depository. There's no tax liability, no penalties. We can explain how that all works and educate you on that. If they flip the switch and they do this bail-in, you're immune from that, because you're not in paper indexes, and you wouldn't be like in the stock market on Wednesday where it was shut down. You can access your money. You'll have full access to your money because you're in physicals in your hand. If they don't do that way, and they go the traditional way, through inflating our way out of this problem, which is what historically countries do, then gold is the #1 asset to hold in that environment. It went up 500% in 5 years during the Carter administration, when we had higher interest rates, which is where we're going. So it might be a combination of both: higher interest rates causing inflation, hedging yourself against that in precious metals, a bail-in, saving yourself from the headache of the government taking 56 to 71%, which is the Wall Street Journal, on saying what they're going to take from Americans when the country does the bail-in. You now have 100% of your money, not half.
His phone number is area code 602-287-9200. It's toll free 877-448-2646, and his website is landmarkgold.com. bailin.com. I'm going to let you call throughout the show. Keep on calling so that you can get the coming Bailin, how to avoid it from affecting you. And if you also want one for somebody else, you should also do that too. Again, our number here is 602-277-5369. Toll free is 1-866-536-1100.